Welcome back to tonight's expanse. Tonight, we'll look up at the moon, the Earth's quiet companion for more than 4.5 billion years. Its light is gentle, unhurried, and comforting, and yet beneath that calm glow lies a long history of impacts, formation, and continual change. You don't need to remember or analyze anything. Just soften, take a slow breath, and let the moon's story drift softly into you. Now, we begin. There are stories in space science that don't begin with the roar of engines or with complicated trajectory maps. They begin with silence. The silence of a long night on the moon. Chapter 1. When a small spacecraft refused to become silence. On a cold, dark surface where there is no air to carry sound, where night is not just darkness, but 180 degrees Celsius of the absolute, a small lander lay upside down, its solar panels facing the wrong way. With almost no hope, they nicknamed it Moon Sniper. Official name, Slim, Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, by JAXA, Japan. If it were on Earth, a flipped device would simply be a technical incident. But on the moon, that is almost equivalent to a death sentence. Because without sunlight, there is no power. Without power, there is no life. Without life, only silence remains. And yet, many days later, as the sun's angle changed, a faint but clear signal slipped across nearly 500,000 kilometers of emptiness and came home to Earth. Slim woke up, not just once, but 3 times, as if it was saying, "We're not done. I still have something to tell you. You're hearing this story in a quiet space. Your breathing may have slowed. Your body is a little lighter. If you want, you can lie down or simply let your mind drift with this narration. Because the journey we're about to take isn't the adrenaline jolt of science fiction films. It's a slow trip, steady, like the turning of the planets. A kind of understanding that comes from listening not only with your ears, but with the stillness within. To understand why Slim, a tiny spacecraft, is a special milestone in the history of exploration, we have to return to a very basic question. Why is touching down in the right spot so hard? From the 1,960 seconds until now, most lunar missions have had wide landing zones called a landing ellipse. For example, Apollo 11's error box, 18.5 kilometers times 4.5 kilometers. Chang'e 3, China, 2013, narrowed it to about 6 kilometers times 6 kilometers. But Slim did something almost unthinkable. It landed within a target area of only about 100 meters. Imagine you're standing in London, you shoot a skin cell, and it lands on a single grain of rice lying on the ground in Cairo. That's the precision Slim achieved. It did that not with radar, but with sight. The Smart Eyes system continuously imaged the surface while descending, compared those views with high-resolution terrain maps, recognized cliffs, shadows, impact craters, and adjusted thrusters on the fly while falling. It decided for itself where to place its body down, and it succeeded. It's just that, at touchdown, a small surprise happened. A damaged engine nozzle caused it to tip and flip. Almost everything afterward, by every theoretical measure, should have stopped, but it did not stop. Solar panels pointed the wrong way. Wait for the sun to change its angle. Nights cold enough to make metal contract and circuits crack. It slept, then woke again, an object without life, behaving as if it were patient. When Slim powered back on the first time, scientists on Earth were silent for a few seconds before cheering. But by the second time, then the third, that initial joy shifted into something else. Recognition that this wasn't merely a lucky machine. It was a symbol, a new expectation, a new approach, a new philosophy of space exploration. Not go up there and plant a flag, but to arrive exactly where we need to, with precision, delicacy, and patience. A gentle touch, a long breath, a deliberate slowness, just like the way the cosmos moves. In this video, we'll move from that small story to larger ones. Why precision will decide the future of lunar exploration. Why a spacecraft that accepted flipping over, yet didn't give up, matters. And why, to go farther than Earth, we must learn how to be gentle. If you feel your eyelids beginning to slow, it's okay. This story doesn't hurry. The universe has never hurried, and we have much to tell. Chapter 2: Why Precision Landing is a Revolution. And if in Chapter 1 we paused at the moment Slim woke within the darkness, then now let's ease one step further. It's not that landing is extraordinary, it's landing in the right place. Breathe in slowly, breathe out softly. We begin. For most of the moon's exploration history, humans didn't really arrive where they wanted, but where they could. Like a climber reaching the first ridge while the summit remains far away. Deep inside the impressive journeys of Apollo, Chang'e, Luna, or Chandrayaan lies a soft but vital truth. Machines weren't delicate enough to pick an exact point on a distant world. They could only choose a region. We call it the landing ellipse, the landing oval. Not a point, an area spanning tens of kilometers, big enough that standing at one edge, you can't see the other. Big enough that if you want to study a boulder, a crater, an ancient lava channel, you can only hope to land near it. Hope, not choice. But the universe does not answer those who only hope. It answers those who know what they're doing. And that is why precision landing is a revolution, because it means we no longer merely drop hardware on the moon. We go where we intend. Imagine looking down at the lunar surface, a place of rubble, razor-edged craters, steep walls. Miss by just a few meters and you might spear into the side of a deep trench, and the mission ends at the instant of touchdown. On a world without an atmosphere, no parachutes, no drag to help slow down. A lander must control itself with thrusters and sensors in real time while falling. No room for error, no second chances. So how did Slim do it? It didn't just look, it recognized. The Smart Eyes navigation system doesn't behave like radar, groping out a vague altitude. It watches the surface like a patient photographer. Every large rock, every crater rim, every contour of shadow is compared to high-resolution topographic maps stored in memory. It understands where it is, like a ship crossing the ocean without a compass, but remembering the shape of each wave. When the system detects deviation, it doesn't panic. It simply changes attitude, nudges thrust a little higher, eases velocity a little lower, as gently as adjusting a breath, and finally, it set itself down. Not within a city-sized ellipse, but within a 100-meter zone. A touch, not hard, not rushed, just enough. Why does this matter for the future? Because the most interesting places on the moon aren't on flat plains that are easy to land on. They lie on ancient crater rims where deep geological layers are exposed, on peaks of eternal light where sunlight persists year-round, in permanently shadowed regions that may hold water ice, the life fuel for Mars and beyond, on exposed mineral veins that hold clues to the moon's thermal history. All of those are in rugged terrain. To reach them, we must stand precisely. SLIM isn't just a probe, it is confirmation that we can choose the spot. No longer anywhere will do. From now on, we can go to the places that matter most, and that changes everything. How we study mineralogy, how we search for water, how we choose sites for humanity's first lunar base. If Chapter 1 is a story about the patience of a small spacecraft, then Chapter 2 is a story about the true meaning of putting our foot in the right place. And now, as you let your breath go very soft, eyes perhaps closing a little, we'll drift into the next chapter, where we look at SLIM's strange awakenings and what they tell us about the moon. Chapter 3, SLIM's strange awakenings. In the previous chapter, we learned why precision landing is not merely a technical feat, but a doorway opened for the future, a door to places we once could only gaze at from afar. Now, let's sit a while, very still, and listen to a story as light as a breath, yet deep enough to touch the question: what makes an inanimate machine seem to have a will to live? Breathe in slowly, breathe out softly. We begin. SLIM, the small craft from Earth, was not designed to live long. It was sent to the moon to prove a single thing: that humans can place themselves exactly at a chosen coordinate. Its mission did not include surviving the moon's night, because lunar night is not like night on Earth. There, a darkness stretches on for 14 days, no light, no heat, no shelter. Temperatures fall to 180 degrees Celsius, cold enough to make metal brittle, to stop electronics, to freeze batteries into stone. Most things we've sent to the moon fall asleep after the first night and never wake. We call it lunar night, a long night not meant for life, SLIM as well, in theory. But then, the extraordinary happened. For the first time after the darkness ended and the sun slowly rose over a crater rim, SLIM stirred, as if someone gently called it to wake, as if within it there was a quiet rhythm waiting for the right moment to rise. It sent signals back to Earth again, small data packets, trembling but clear as a whisper. I'm still here. The scientists looked at one another. No one believed it at first, because SLIM wasn't built to survive night. Its batteries had no heaters. Its circuits lacked thick insulation. Its body was upside down, solar panels facing the wrong way. Everything said it should be dead, but it was not dead. Then a second night came, a third night. Each time, before darkness fell, operators on Earth gently guided SLIM into deep sleep, a sleep with no guarantee of waking. And then, the light returned. The second time, it opened its eyes. The third time, it sent images again. A lander lying inverted in extreme sub-zero cold amid an endless sea of rock, yet still able to open its eyes, like a flower pushing out from a crack in stone, not expected, not designed to endure, but present and alive. Why does this matter? Because each time SLIM woke, it gave us more data, and that data isn't just information. It is the moon's story, It is the voice of temperature, of minerals, of night and light, of how metallic materials contract, vibrate, and change under 100-degree swings. It is a yardstick for how many freeze-thaw cycles batteries can endure, how long electronics can revive after long thermal cycles, how lunar dust affects mechanical structures, how much light is enough to wake a sleeping silicon brain. And these are the foundational sciences for building a future lunar base. We cannot live there if we don't know how to outlast the night. By surviving, Slim answered an essential question. Survival is possible, even if only as a first whisper. And one more thing, slime did not survive because it was strong, but because it was light. Its body was small, components simple, structure unburdensome. In harsh environments, what survives isn't always the strongest. It's what knows how to need the least in order to continue. A very quiet lesson, very gentle, very moon-like. Now, let your breath soften again. Let your shoulders fall a little. Let your eyes close lightly, because in the next chapter, we'll shift to another scene. From Slim's miraculous survival to the silent tragedy of Luna 25, from patience to haste, from focus to too much pressure. A story to remind us, in space, small errors can become large endings. Chapter 4, Luna 25, when a small error became a great tragedy. We've just left Slim's story, a small, humble craft, light as a leaf of metal, yet patient enough to survive 3 long lunar nights. Now, let's gently turn to another story, a story not gentle, a story with a falling cadence. Slow but deep, breathe in slowly and breathe out softly. We begin. In the cold emptiness between Earth and Moon, every motion is mathematics. Every burn is the result of thousands of calculations. Every error, even 1%, can lead to a completely different path. But sometimes, humans forget that. Luna 25, the first Russian lunar mission in nearly half a century, it carried great expectations. Not just a scientific mission, but a declaration. We are still here. We still can. Its task was not light. To land at the moon's south pole where no one had succeeded, a region of permanent shadow where water ice may exist, resources that could become fuel for an interplanetary future. Behind it stood the old Soviet legacy, political pressure, the pride of once leading the space race, all placed upon a metal machine only a few meters wide. No one had to say it, but everyone knew it didn't just need to land, it had to succeed. On the day it neared the moon's surface, the media were ready. The story was prepared, victory statements waiting on desks. But just 5 minutes before touchdown, a small thing happened, very small. A navigation sensor sent incorrect data, not completely failed, not off, just wrong by a little. But in space, a little is everything. The processor read the wrong input, thrusters compensated the wrong way, thrust misaligned, velocity increased, altitude lost, time gone. Within a dozen seconds, the spacecraft fell. No sound, no great flash, no dramatic spectacle, because on the moon there is no air to carry sound, only a silent impact, a plume of dusty rock rising, and a spacecraft gone. It wasn't a failure of weak technology, not a lack of talent, not a bad design. It was a failure of pressure. When we race against one another, instead of moving together, the universe doesn't need to intervene. It simply stands still and lets us trap ourselves in our own haste. If you look closely, you'll see a soft contrast. Slim, Luna 25, a small mission, a mission bearing national weight. No pressure to win, pressured to prove, built to learn, built to assert. Small error, gentle correction, small error, cascading collapse. Survived beyond expectation, died when it mustn't. Science doesn't speak in right or wrong. It only points to relationships between conditions and results. But life sometimes teaches other lessons. Slim shows that patience can extend life. Luna 25 reminds us that haste can end everything. The universe does not reward speed. It quietly waits to see if we are listening. So what remains after that impact? Not a heap of broken metal, but an awakening. If we wish to touch the universe, we must be light. We must listen. We must know our limits and know what we are doing. Because the moon doesn't care about nations, doesn't care about honor, doesn't care about proclamations. It answers only to precision. And precision is the union of understanding, patience, and time. Now, gently close your eyes for a few seconds. Let your breath become a soft tide, because in Chapter 5, we'll leave technique, politics, and ambition, and step into a phenomenon so beautiful that, if we didn't look up, we might never know it exists. The moon's 18.6-year cycle, when the universe gently adjusts Earth's tides, a very slow song, very old, very deep. Chapter 5, the moon's 18.6-year cycle, the long breath of the tides. From the silent tragedy of Luna 25, we enter another world. A motion very slow, very deep, very long. So slow that unless we grow quiet, we won't feel it. No engines now, no metal, no ticking seconds. Only the moon's breathing. Breathe in slowly, breathe out lightly. Let your mind soften like water at dawn. We begin. Throughout human history, the moon has been more than a gentle lamp in the night. It is an invisible hand lifting and lowering the oceans. But a lesser-known truth is this: the moon does not pull Earth's waters to a fixed height. It has a very long cycle, about 18 years and 6 months, in which the tilt of its orbit shifts little by little, like someone walking in a very wide circle, so slow that the eye cannot see it, but the oceans feel it. This cycle is called the lunar nodal cycle. Imagine the moon's orbit not perfectly aligned with Earth's path around the Sunday. It's tilted by about 5 degrees. Only 5 degrees, but enough to change tide heights, wave energy, coastal erosion, even the fate of seaside cities. When the cycle reaches its peak, that tilt makes lunar pulls stronger, seas rise higher, waves reach farther, shores grow more fragile. No storms, no rain, no strong winds, just the moon lifting the ocean higher than usual. A quiet change, as if someone were slowly turning a dial. But the ocean is never a small thing. The last peak was in 2015. Many cities experienced unexplained floods. Water rose on clear, cloudless days. Months later, when heavy rains arrived, everything combined, and water flowed through streets like a strong breath. Not chaos, mathematics, In nature, what seems chaotic is often a rhythm we haven't yet learned to hear, and the next peak will arrive in the mid-2030 seconds. But this time, the oceans aren't what they were. Two things are happening at once. The high phase of the tidal cycle, sea levels rising under global warming. When those two waveforms align, a very large wave will form. Not a single physical crest, but an era of frequent flooding. Not sudden disasters, but a quiet kind of inundation. Water seeping up from beneath drains, from culverts, from the ground, from the sea across roads, without a cloud in the sky. A kind of flood without a sound. Like the way Luna 25 fell in silence. The universe doesn't need noise to make change. It only needs time. But as with all things on Earth, nothing has only one face. If big tides can erase shores, they can also sustain life. In equatorial places with mangrove forests, the 18.6-year peak brings water at just the right time to deposit silt, extend root systems, and lengthen the shade of leaves. Mangroves are the planet's quiet lungs. They store 4 times the carbon of rainforests. They are the softest and most enduring natural seawalls. When tides are strong, mangroves grow. When tides weaken or are blocked, mangroves die. One lunar rhythm, 2 opposite outcomes. Nature is always like this, both nourishing and testing, not to punish, but to ask a simple question. Are you ready to live with my rhythm? So what should we do? Not fight against, not only build higher, harder, heavier, but learn to move with it, like low-lying regions in the Netherlands, designing floodable lands and timed drainage, instead of denying water, like we listen to our breath instead of trying to control it. Some things don't need to be won, we just have to dance with them. The moon's breath is 18 years, 6 months. Your breath is a few seconds. But if you listen carefully, you'll feel that both are waves. And in the next chapter, we'll leave the ocean and look up at the sky, where there is another story about a free-falling object owned by no one. A story that begins with 2 words, the mysterious booster. Chapter 6, the mysterious booster and a test of space law. We've just left the long breath of the tides. Now we lift our eyes again to orbits around Earth where there are no waves, no currents, only quiet paths circling our world. But even in that quiet, there are nameless stories, wandering objects, and sometimes mysteries no nation wants to mention. Let your body relax a little more. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing slow. We begin. In March 2022, amateur telescopes spotted a metal object drifting in space near the moon. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't an active satellite. It was an old rocket booster, a spent stage that had finished its job and been left behind. No serial number. No identification beacon, no country stepping up to claim it. It drifted like an ownerless bottle on the grey ocean of space. Tracking its orbit, astronomers determined this booster would crash into the moon, not gently, but straight in, over 9,000 kilometers per hour. When it struck the surface, it carved a double crater, 2 pits side by side. A strange thing, a signature unlike any previous impact from falling hardware. Scientists looked at images from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and they had to pause. So whose is it? No one answered. In space, every object has a paper trail. By international rules, every nation must register each rocket, each module, each satellite. Nothing is supposed to exist beyond the atmosphere without documentation. Why? Because if an object collides and damages a space station or another nation's satellite, that damage, even accidental, is legally the responsibility of the nation that launched it. In space, there should be no anonymity, or at least it's meant to be so. But this booster was different. At first, many researchers thought it was a SpaceX Falcon 9 second stage from the 2015 Deep Space Climate Observatory mission. But when they scanned the paint via spectral analysis, something odd appeared. The coding didn't match Falcon 9. It matched Long March 3C, China's rocket from the Chang'e 5T1 mission, which sent a test craft into lunar orbit in 2014, meaning there was a 90% chance this booster was Chinese. When researchers published that result, Beijing's official response was a single line: the Chang'e 5T1 booster burned up in the atmosphere. It no longer exists. If true, then what is this orbit? If false, why deny it? The problem isn't only ownership, it's what happens if this repeats. But next time the booster hits the International Space Station, ISS, a military satellite, a crewed spacecraft, under the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, nations agreed. No weaponizing the moon, no territorial claims, no biological contamination, and to bear responsibility for any object launched into space. If the booster is indeed from China, then failing to track it, letting it smash into a celestial body, violates international responsibility. But in practice, no penalty, no space court, no enforcement mechanism. Space, breathtakingly beautiful, but law there is as thin as mist, and this booster is only one of thousands. Right now, around Earth there are over 27,000 tracked pieces of space debris and about 900,000 smaller fragments drifting free. They are not still. They fly, spin, collide. If two fragments hit, they shatter into smaller pieces, spread, hit others, shatter again. This chain is called the Kessler effect, a cascading reaction, a rain of invisible knives in orbit. In the worst case, near-Earth space becomes a storm belt of fragments, and then ISS flights can't launch, GPS satellites can't survive, satellite internet collapses, journeys to the moon and beyond end, not because we lack technology, but because we ruined the sky around our own world. Here we see something vital. Space is not only a realm to explore, it is a shared responsibility. If any region of orbit is ruined by debris, no single nation can fix it alone. We've entered a new era, the era of common orbits, that demands global cooperation, not shows of force. As Slim taught us precision, and Luna 25 taught us the cost of haste, this mysterious booster teaches us, in space, everything is connected, and no nation can stand apart. We need clearer laws, concrete accountability, and absolute honesty, not just for science, but for the future of our path into the cosmos. Slow your breath. We are about to leave Earth's orbits and move into another part of the story, the risk of conflict in space and the warning of the Kessler effect. Chapter 7, The Kessler Effect, when the sky becomes an invisible glass storm. We've just pondered the mysterious booster, a wandering object claimed by no one, a quiet yet razor-sharp question: who is responsible for the sky? Now let's look at something else. Not a single object, but the consequence of thousands, millions of objects circling us. Gently lower your shoulders. Breathe in slowly. Exhale softly. We begin. At night, when you look up, you see a peaceful sky. But in truth, Earth's orbits are not peaceful. They are a vast highway where tens of thousands of objects move at once. Telecom satellites, weather satellites, the International Space Station, ISS, probes, and trash. Trash here is not plastic bags or cans. Space junk is discarded rocket stages, broken pieces from collisions, dead satellites, metal chips, bolts, even paint flakes shed from hulls. A paint chip only a few millimeters across, at 7,800 meters per second, is enough to punch through thick metal. Space is not empty. It's full of invisible bullets, and eventually, those bullets start striking one another. Each collision creates thousands of smaller shards. The shards hit other objects, create even more fragments. This is the Kessler effect. Its meaning is simple. When debris density in orbit passes a threshold, it begins multiplying on its own and won't stop. Like a wine glass shattering on the floor, no one can pick up every piece. And when you think you've finished, smaller, sharper splinters remain. In orbit, there are no sweepers, no floor to mop, no place to gather it. Space junk does not vanish by itself. It lingers for hundreds of years. If the Kessler effect fully unfolds, what's lost first? Not moon missions, not interplanetary rockets, but the systems that keep modern life running. GPS, satellite internet, television, maritime communications, weather warning networks, global navigation, commercial air traffic routing. If a major collision cascade begins, critical satellites could be destroyed in hours, and the sky around Earth would become a storm zone of fragments. No vehicle could pass through, no satellite could survive, no mission could launch. In short, the door to space would close, not because we lack technology, but because we bolted it from the inside. The ISS has been threatened many times. Once, a metal speck the size of a pinhead, flying near orbital velocity, struck the protective cupola pane. Result: a deep pit. Without the sacrificial outer layer, the main window might have exploded. Just one tiny fragment, just once. Luck only temporary. In space, luck has limits. What's worse, humanity has begun to weaponize space. Nations have tested ASAT anti-satellite missiles, microwave weapons, directed energy lasers. Each successful test, a satellite destroyed, thousands of new fragments created. Each time we blow up a satellite, we make the sky more dangerous for everyone. No nation stands outside it. There are no territories to defend. In space, everything is shared, and when our shared sky is broken, no one has a way forward. But the sky isn't lost. Not yet. If we know what we're doing, if we listen to science's quiet warnings, if we learn from Slim that patience and precision are the only ways to go far, we must track every object in orbit, stop ASAT tests that create debris, make booster retrieval a mandatory standard, develop space cleanup missions, and above all, cooperate rather than compete. Space doesn't care about nationality. Only we do. The universe does not. Now breathe slowly, light as stardust drifting through orbit, because the next chapter will bring us back to the moon, but with hope. Artemis the One, the opening step of humanity's return to deep space, a return without noise, without grand declarations, just this. A spacecraft flew far and came home safely. Chapter 8, Artemis First, quiet trials for a new era of returning to the moon. We've just traveled through the sky's silent storms, where metal specks smaller than rice grains can steer the fate of an entire civilization. Now, let's continue with a different breathing rhythm. Lighter, slower, steadier. Breathe in deeply and exhale softly. We head toward the moon, but this time to return. For more than half a century, the promise of going back to the moon was only a promise, a golden memory from Apollo, resting in museums and in the dreams of a previous generation. After Apollo 17 inches 1972, humans stopped setting foot on the moon, not because we couldn't, but because we didn't yet know what to do next. We had gone there, and then what? No settlement, no base, no momentum to continue, like someone climbing a very high mountain, standing on the summit, looking down at the vast world, and then going home, not knowing why they should go back. The universe remained there, waiting. And then, decades later, we began to have an answer. To reach Mars, we must learn to live off Earth, on another world, not just visit it. And the nearest world, the place to practice that, is the moon. Not to go to the moon, but to live on the moon. But to return, we needed a new machine, powerful, stable, able to carry people beyond Earth orbit. That machine is SLS, the Space Launch System, and the heart of the return is the mission, Artemis 1. In November 2022, at Launch Pad 39B in Cape Canaveral, a rocket taller than the Statue of Liberty stood poised, white, warm, exhaling cold plumes from liquid oxygen lines. It carried no crew. It carried no national flags, no thunderous global broadcast like Apollo. Artemis I carried the silence of a test, because this flight wasn't to prove we can reach the moon. We did that already. In 1969, Artemis I was born to answer other questions. Can new heat shield materials endure for long durations? Can the Orion module shield astronauts from deep space radiation? Is SLS thrust stable enough to push us safely out of Earth's gravity well? Can navigation systems hold precision over hundreds of thousands of kilometers? No easy answers, no room for error. When Artemis I left the pad, a deep, low thunder rolled through the atmosphere, but not brash, not savage. It sounded like a slow drum from Earth's belly, a beat pressed into the life of our civilization. The rocket rose, ember orange against the night, carrying the Orion capsule, a small metal room compared to the infinite dark waiting to receive it. And then, in the silence of space, Orion traveled farther than any crew-capable spacecraft before. It didn't merely loop the moon. It swept behind it, where Earth and Moon are just two floating beads of light in an endless black. In the photos Orion sent back, Earth was no longer a vast world. It was a blue marble, thin, fragile, so light that a single breath of the moon can lift its seas. That moment was not science, not technology, not any nation's achievement. It was awareness. We live on a very small home, and the universe is very large. After nearly a month, Orion returned to Earth. The most critical part of Artemis 1 wasn't liftoff. It was coming back, because when a spacecraft plunges into the atmosphere, it faces over 2,700 degrees Celsius, hotter than the sun's surface. If the heat shield fails, the mission ends. If the entry angle is too shallow, it skips off the air and drifts into deep space. If too steep, it burns to ash. A small error, just a few percent, can mark the line between life and disappearance. But Orion came home safely, gently, slowly, precisely. No clamor, no triumphant blare, only one story. We are ready to return to the moon, not to stop by, but to stay. And here's the bridge into our next chapter. To live off Earth, we need stepping stones, exercises, small journeys, repeated, patient as breath. Before humans return to the lunar surface with Artemis 3, we must understand what first took us there. A technological ladder, stretching from Mercury to Gemini to Apollo. With your breath slowing, we'll step down those rungs. In Chapter 9, the technological ladder, from Mercury to Gemini to Apollo. We watched Artemis I come home in silence. A steady, unshowy test strong enough to reopen the door for humanity's return to the moon. But to know why we can return, we must go back to where everything began. Very small. Breathe in deeply, breathe out softly. Slow one beat. We begin in the mid-1950 seconds, when humanity first looked up and thought, maybe we can leave Earth. We had no giant rockets, no guidance computers, no space stations. We only had a dream and a shy question: can a human survive in space? That's when Project Mercury was born. Mercury didn't aim for the moon. Mercury had one goal: send a human off Earth and bring them back alive. No pageantry, no grandstanding, no footprints on another world, just survival in space. Mercury capsules were so small that astronauts sat cramped, knees nearly to their chests, unable to stand or stretch. But in those tight moments, we learned the first lesson. Space is not made for bodies, but bodies can learn to exist there. Breath, heartbeat, blood pressure, everything had to be calculated. For life in microgravity, Mercury was the first breath. After Mercury came Gemini. If Mercury taught us how to get out, Gemini taught us how to move. In space, there are no roads, no landmarks, no up or down. Gemini taught us to change orbits, chase an object flying 7,800 meters per second, join two ships in space, rendezvous and docking, and most important, walk in space, one step into the endless, tethered to Earth by a single slender line. Gemini was standing up. Then came Apollo. Apollo no longer asked, can we live in space? Or can we maneuver out there? Apollo asked a bigger question. Can we leave Earth, go to another world, and come back? To answer, we built Saturn V, the largest, most powerful rocket, a 110-meter column of fire, pushing humans away from our green home. Apollo 11 landed in the Sea of Tranquility, a name so beautiful it aches. But don't mistake it, that wasn't the most important part. The most important part of Apollo was not the step on the moon. It was the return. Going out is courage, coming back is wisdom. Apollo was the first step on a path to returning to the universe with understanding. And then everything paused. We climbed the highest peak, stood there for a moment, then came down, keeping the memory in photographs, not going back. But memory does not sleep. It rests in our spine, waiting for conditions to ripen. Today, when we speak of Artemis, we're not starting from zero. We stand on Mercury, Gemini, Apollo. Orion's life support lessons come from Mercury. Deep space navigation comes from Gemini. Departing and returning through gravity wells comes from Apollo. Artemis is not a brand new program. It's the next rung on an old ladder, a technological ladder 70 years long, a ladder no one climbs alone. No single nation, no single generation, no single lifetime. We climb it together through time. Where does the ladder lead? Not only to the moon, not only to Mars, but to something deeper, meaning, the meaning of asking, who are we in the universe? The meaning of seeing Earth from afar and finding it small and fragile. The meaning that if we wish to endure longer than our planet's lifespan, we must learn to go far. And to go far, we must learn to stay far. On the moon, in the dark, in the quiet, slow your breath, because in chapter 10, we'll step into a question both basic and deeply human. Why must we return to the moon before we go farther? Not for glory, not for old promises, but because the moon is the first classroom for becoming a multiplanetary species. Chapter 10, Why we must return to the moon before going farther. Let your shoulders drop. Place a hand where your breath moves rhythmically. Breath in, breath out, slow and very light. We're approaching a question deeper than all before. Why must humanity return to the moon before going farther to Mars or more distant worlds? The question sounds simple, but the answer stretches as long as Earth's shadow on orbit. The moon is the nearest place and the nearest other world. It has no air to breathe, no protective magnetosphere, days hot as red-hot metal, nights as cold as primordial cosmic ice, a place where one step out of the ship stands at the edge of life, every action measured in breaths and moles of oxygen, and every mistake, even tiny, can be the last. If we can live on the moon, we can live anywhere in the solar system. The moon is a laboratory for the future. Experiment 1, living off Earth. On the ISS, we learn to exist close to Earth, but the moon is different. Distance to ISS, 400 kilometers. Distance to the moon, 384,000 kilometers. If trouble strikes on ISS, astronauts can return within hours. If trouble strikes on the moon, it takes 3 days. The moon teaches us to sustain life support by ourselves, repair using in situ resources, resolve crises when rescue can't arrive in time. These are the survival skills of a multiplanetary species. Experiment 2, sourcing our own resources. On the moon, we can't keep hauling water and fuel from Earth. To stay long, we must find water there. And surprisingly, the moon has water. In polar craters where sunlight never reaches, ice rests like ancient memory. From water we can electrolyze oxygen to breathe, hydrogen as rocket fuel, meaning the moon can become a refueling station for the solar system. If we can top up on the moon, the path to Mars, Europa, Titan grows much shorter. The moon isn't just a destination, it's a springboard. Experiment 3: Human endurance. In microgravity, bones weaken, muscles atrophy, heart rhythms shift. The body wasn't built for space, but the body can learn. Sleep on the moon will be different. Walking on the moon will be different. Every sensation will be rewritten from the beginning. We'll face new questions. How does sleep change in lower gravity? How do cells regenerate without a magnetic field? How does the psyche change when Earth is a distant light each night? This isn't cold science. It's the science of heart, memory, existence. Because to go far, we must know who we are away from the place that raised us. Experiment 4: Off-world architecture. On the moon, we will build radiation shielding domes, bury habitats in basalt regolith, use lunar dust to 3D print walls and structures, build labs, clinics, depots, homes, and green rooms. Slowly, patiently, like coral building reefs in a night ocean. The moon is where we learn to build home, not on Earth. And there is another reason, not of science, but of meaning. Every civilization reaches a moment with the question, are we to live only here, forever? If we live on one planet only, our fate is tied to its fate. An asteroid impact, a supervolcanic eruption, runaway climate change, a rejuvenation cycle of our sun. Any could end humanity's story, but if we carry our light to many places, the story grows longer. Space is not an escape from Earth. Space is how we protect Earth, by ensuring that the flame of awareness does not end in a single place. The moon is the first door. Thus, Artemis is not merely a technical mission. It is an act of remembering. We once looked up at the sky. We once touched it, and we will do it again. But this time, we will stay. Now let your breath slow again, like the moon's orbital rhythm around Earth, because the next chapter is a chapter of maturity. Chapter 11, closing, precise like Slim, calm like Armstrong, and cooperative like the future we hope for. Let your body soften a little more, your breath a little deeper. No need to try. Just return to your most natural rhythm. We are nearing the end of tonight's journey, a journey without noise, without strain, like a river of light drifting across the sky. But before we close, let's look once more at the whole picture. Remember Slim, JAXA's small lander, flipped on the moon's grey ground, yet waking again. It taught us the first lesson. To survive in space, we don't have to be the strongest. We have to be the most precise. In a realm where a 0.1 degree error can cost a 10-year mission, precision is not just technique, it is the ethic of science. Slim reminds us, to go far, we must go slow, meticulous, patient as dew falling from a leaf. Then remember Neil Armstrong, who stepped down from the Eagle. In a moment when the world held its breath, he did not tremble, he did not rush, he did not shout, he did not declare victory. He simply said, "One small step for a man." Those were not the words of a conqueror, they were the words of a guest, setting foot on a world not his own. From Armstrong, we learn a second lesson. To go far, we must be humble. Space is not a stage for triumph, not a place to flaunt strength. It is a place for listening. And finally, remember the moon's lesson. The moon belongs to no one. No flag remains there forever. No one may claim it. In international law, the moon is the common heritage of humankind, and that is the third lesson. Space's future can only be built through cooperation, not competition. We have seen Luna 25 fall under the pressure of a race. We have seen the Kessler effect's threat to lock the sky. We have seen a mysterious booster remind us how thin space law still is. And we have seen Artemis I return in silence, as a gentle reminder that all things of value require time. So the end of this story is not a bold proclamation. It is an invitation. Be as precise as Slim, as humble as Armstrong, and as open as the future we're reaching for. Because the journey to the cosmos is not only a journey of technology, but a journey of the soul. We are not only building spacecraft, we are building a new version of ourselves, a version that can live with vastness, a version that knows smallness without weakness, a version that knows this: it isn't the universe that needs us, it is we who need the universe to remember we are still capable of awe. Take a slow breath, as if you've just seen Earth from behind the moon, and in that breath, leave a feeling very small, very gentle. We will return, not to conquer, but to keep learning how to be a species that dreams. Chapter 12, A Lullaby to Close. When the universe becomes a place to rest, you don't need to try to remember anything now. All the images we've traveled through, the moon's silver-gray plains, the slow drift of radiation in the void, the small, patient ships outlasting the cold night, they are all sinking down like quiet lights settling into a still lake. No need to hold on, no need to analyze. Just let them settle, like sand resting on the bottom of clear water. In its breath-stealing vastness, the universe holds something very gentle. It never hurries. Planets circle their stars for millions of years. Ancient lava flows cool like time's long exhale. Impact scars on celestial faces are in no rush to fade. Everything in the cosmos moves slowly, steadily, peacefully. Even light, the fastest thing we know, is simply a simple motion, even without any need to struggle for anything. And you, too, you are allowed to slow like this. If you're listening tonight to sleep, know that you don't need to try to sleep. Sleep arrives like moonrise. No one commands it. No one urges it. It comes when your inner world has grown quiet. And tonight you have traveled far, from thunderous launch pads to the moon's cold ash plains, through trials, failures, and unexpected wonders. But in the end, you've come back to where you always belong, inside your body, in a soft breath, in a heartbeat slow and deep. So now, let this voice dim like the distance between two stars. Let your eyes close naturally. No forcing, no steering. Let your body sink into the softest surface beneath you, like a probe, setting itself into lunar dust. After a very long journey, your body knows how to rest. Your breath knows the way home. You don't need to guide anything anymore. Just let go. And if you drift into sleep in the next few minutes, let it arrive the way dawn touches a Mercury crater rim. Gentle, slow, without a sound. If you're still awake, that's okay, too. You are already resting. The universe never hurries, and tonight, neither do you. See you on another voyage through even farther fields of light. For now, I wish you a deep sleep.